to have each of your opinions about the current status, your opinion and position on the park, and specifically, I saw in the ribbon cutting ceremony, a table was set up with a questionnaire about our input as to ideas that apparently are being considered for uses in the park. I was shocked to find that one idea that seems to be prominent, at least in that that questionnaire, was that there would be private residences. I'm opposed to that. I think that is a terrible waste of all that's involved there to try to place private residences in that parcel. But what is your opinion, please, and so forth on Maritime Park in general? And whether you think private residences should be a consideration?
Who was first? Diane, you go first this time.
Okay, thank you. First of all, the Maritime Park is the catalyst we need for many, many things in this community. And I will tell you, as we talk about, yes, we hope it will bring jobs and all the others, but I will tell you the single most crucial reason for having this Maritime Park is that the very fact that this community has come together and is investing $52 million, that's $40 million in bond proceeds and $12 million in new market tax credits. The very fact that we are so confident that we are investing that in ourselves is the message that needs to go out to those private investors who would then come and invest either in the private parcels at the Maritime Park or in other downtown parcels. That's why it will be a catalyst. It is that message to the private investment community. Hey, these folks really believe so much in their waterfront and so much in their city that they're going to invest this kind of money. That says something to us. I think we should get on board. As far as private residences, as I recall, that is something that may be considered, but only in multi-use facilities. And once again, the private development is going to be in the hands of the development team. And right now, the kinds of businesses they're really looking at enticing here are a hotel, office building, and national caliber retail. I really haven't heard them talk about private residences. The contract itself does reflect the possibility of private residences, but only on upper stories of mixed-use buildings where the bottom floor is retail.
Okay, Charles.
Okay. I'm a little bit different, I think, than the other three. I'm very concerned about the ability of the city to pay back the debt service on the bonds that were sold to build the Maritime, or going to be, to build the Maritime Park. The bonds were even sold, of course. We have to do something with them. Now we have another challenge, petition challenge to the ballpark. I think it's very important that that stadium be built to the specs that we could have a single A team, some type of major league affiliated team, so that we have a better draw down there. If we're going to indeed have a stadium that has baseball in it, I think it's imperative that if we do have a stadium down there, that we draw other things into it as well without damaging. I understand that there are some impacts that could damage the field to the point where it couldn't be used. So I think we have to take a lot of things into consideration. As far as private residences, like Diane, I have not seen that in the plans. I know it's been discussed. I would not support that as mayor. We're only in phase 1 right now. We have phase 2 and 3. That's where we really have to be careful as to what goes in there, I believe, and keep a close eye on what type of private development we're looking at. I think it can be a catalyst, but I think if we really wanted to make it a catalyst, then City Hall would be given up to private development also. So that would really expand the private sector down there, which would be, I think, a great addition to the private sector down there if we did give up City Hall and move somewhere else. I know after Ivan that we were able to displace people all over Pensacola. Why do we need such a big building? It'd be something I'd be willing to entertain. I think a lot of it has to do also with the sewage treatment plant, with what we do with that property down there. And those two things together, combined with what happens with City Hall, could be a real catalyst for our community. But I think we really have to look at connecting parts of our community, Palafox down to that area, and making Bayfront a little bit less speedway-like if we're really going to make that a catalyst.
All right, thank you. Let's see, Mike, then Ashton.
I'm a huge fan of the Community Maritime Park, and for many reasons. For one, I really believe the Community Maritime Park is a linchpin for economic development in the downtown area. I think once it's built, you'll be able to go into the wastewater treatment plant property. That's going away next year. Next door is a piece of property called Bruce Beach. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it is a gorgeous piece of property. They will be ripe for development once the Community Maritime Park is underway. And to be quite frank with you, I think the Community Maritime Park at this point in time is more than a park. I think it's a crossroads for Pensacola. I think if we take the avenue of listening to this petition drive and trying to take out the multi-use stadium and even stopping the project, that's going to take Pensacola back more than we want to even admit. If we take the other road and move on with this project, it's going to move us towards better things, and it's going to show people that Pensacola can progress and we can move forward, and then the sky is the limit. To answer your question about residences, we've got a developer who will bring in, hopefully, venues that people want to come. Restaurants, bars, shops, that type of thing. I would love to see the residences maybe put over at Bruce Beach or on the sewage plant property, maybe in terms of mixed use over there, and especially some hotels. We need a hotel down there also. So the possibilities are endless. It'll make your mind spin all the wonderful things that can happen once we're moving forward with this project.
Okay, Ashton?
Well, this is a great question, and this comes full circle for the people that are in the audience. The reality is this: 7.5 years ago when I moved home, Sarah Baumgartner was an anchor for WAR Channel 3. She took me down 30 acres of Trillium property. She said, Ashton, you're a young person, you just moved back, you're creating this new company, you want to give back to the community, what would you do? First thing I said is, Sarah, we need to bring in the greatest land planner in the country. And I said, 50 miles to the east is DPZ, Duane Platt Zyberg. They're one of the premier land plans in the world, okay? They've got one of the greatest case studies ever for Seaside, okay? I said, let's bring in a great land planner. Let's look at this 30 acres, and then let's sell it to a private developer, okay? It needs to be on the tax rolls. No more surplus property needs to be just hanging out in Pensacola. Just what I said earlier. We need to have a true mixed-use development. Any great city, whether it's the United States or whether it's Europe, has got mixed use. If that means a port, if that means a restaurant, if that means whatever, if it's a cultural center, a museum. I've been fortunate to be in many cities, and they have that. There's no reason. This was 7.5 years ago, folks. It's now 2010, and what are we doing? We got a drama going down on the waterfront again. It gets back to my point about leadership. It needs to be on the tax rolls. Our millage rate is 20.21 in this city. We're not Boca or Palm Beach. We're Pensacola, Florida. These are the things that we need to look at hard from an environmental study, a third-party watchdog, if you will. Look at it and make it happen. But I can tell you right now, that's what I would have done. However, the ship is left port right now. We need to get on with it, and we need to support it. I understand there's been a group that wants to petition it. I support their right to do that. I just think there needs to be a little bit more due diligence on their part.